Hey, welcome back everyone. It is now the beginning of January of 2023, and not only are we getting very close to the Mandalorian Season 3 official trailer, which by the way is going to debut tomorrow night, so be prepared for that. We also have, of course, a lot of announcements on the way over at Star Wars Celebration that's going to take place in April over at London. A lot of great things happening over the course of the next 3 months or 4. This is Mike Zero. Subscribe if you're new and like this video to see future Star Wars updates. I'm also on Twitter at Mike01. I thank you all so very much for the kind and great support. Now, one thing about the new universe between George, John, and Dave is that they are all directing the Star Wars fans to a new era of the fans, okay? Of the new era of the franchise for the fans, essentially. And what they're doing right now is that they're taking a lot of Star Wars Legends material and combining it with the already existing Disney canon, and exactly how they're going to be able to make that coexist. And it is going to be a hard task, I will admit. It's not going to be easy, it's going to be very difficult, it's going to be a process, but John and Dave know what they're doing. They're very passionate about what they do, very dedicated to their work, and I really do have to give them a lot of credit for that. Now that brings us to exactly what Mark Hamill recently had to say about Luke Skywalker's future, what's in store for the fans, and exactly what's in store for Luke in the upcoming Star Wars TV shows that will, of course, be announced, like I said before, at Celebration and even D23 later this year. So that brings us to the next big thing, of course, about what Hamill had to tease about John and Dave and what they are actually doing with the character of Luke that may come across as a big surprise to a lot of fans out there. So let's dive right into all of this. Now, one thing that, of course, is coming out of this is that with Mark Hamill recently becoming very direct and vocal with the fandom, he went on to reveal more about the future of Luke and what's happening with John and Dave's vision of Skywalker in upcoming shows. Mark Hamill went on to state the following to the entire fandom, stating, "The one thing that I begged John and Dave to do with Luke in the soon-to-be-announced Star Wars shows was for them to explore many pieces of his Jedi training that were used in Star Wars Legends, and I am proud to confirm that John and Dave are going to be showing in-depth details of Luke's journey and his adventures that he goes on that brings him into a couple of conflicts and dangerous situations that are completely based off events that happened in the Legends stories. They are also going to be introducing something very special to the fans, where they wanted to focus on how they could incorporate a father and son reunion between Luke and Anakin. It's something that we have been talking about for a very long time now, and John and Dave have been creating so many concepts for the moment that they are finding how it will work naturally in the story." So let me just pause here quick for 1 second. Now, this all alludes to the leaks that we've been talking about and the storyboards that John and Dave have been creating for The Mandalorian Season 4, and how it is going to bring in Hayden Christensen to portray the role of Force Ghost Anakin on the world of Ossus, which by the way is the location of Luke Skywalker's second Jedi training temple. He has another one that's up and coming in the canon on Yavin 4, just like in Legends. The thing that really catches me the most surprised from this is that we have, of course, Mark really openly putting it out there that this is talked about every single day, about a father and son reunion, having Anakin once again in the middle of this massive franchise, right? And yeah, we got him in the Kenobi series and all, I understand that. But the thing that fans really want to see is the wise version of Anakin, right? That we never got to see. The wise version of Anakin Skywalker as a Force Ghost with all the knowledge that he has. It is confirmed in the Secrets of the Jedi book. I don't know if you guys read it. It's a great piece. Has a lot of great artwork in there. But in there, Luke confirms that Anakin actually gave him tons of lessons and trained him over the years after Episode 6, leading into The Force Awakens. So there's a lot to tell about Anakin's influence on Luke and the stories that can be told, what kind of lessons that Anakin will give to Skywalker. And that's exactly what Mark Hamill begged John and Dave to do, and they are moving forward with that, is by showing us exactly how Luke becomes the perfected Jedi Master eventually. Now, the thing about this too that I think a lot of fans need to be aware of is that we have, of course, Jon and Dave really working on how they can really incorporate the favorite Star Wars Legends stories about Skywalker's training and how that's going to lead him to becoming the Grand Master of his own Jedi Academy, essentially, right? Now that brings us to the next thing that Mark Hamill had to say, alright? So, he says, it's something that I was really begging Rian Johnson to do with The Last Jedi that got rejected with me getting upset quite a bit, so it's very uplifting to see Jon and Dave repeating all these illustrations that will be used in the future shows. It's truly going to be something quite amazing, and I have already met up with Hayden about how we can make all of this work out. It's been a fun discussion. Now, you guys may recall that Mark Hamill asked Rian Johnson to the upteenth time, why not include Anakin? Let's include Anakin. How can we make this work in The Last Jedi? And Rian Johnson just did not want to do it. He almost caved, by the way. He almost fell into throwing Anakin in there. But Rian Johnson openly said once on Twitter that Anakin would have made 0 sense in The Last Jedi to be communicating with Luke. And you know what? I think that it's the complete opposite. I think it would have made a lot more sense to have both Anakin, Luke, and of course Yoda along with Obi-Wan all having this big discussion with each other. That would have been all the more of an impact on the legacy of the Star Wars franchise and the lore, the characters that we all know and love. So at the end of the day, it really is all about how this is going to be executed, how this is really going to be portrayed by Jon and Dave. I think they're going to do amazing jobs. In Legends, we didn't get all that much Force Ghost Anakin, unfortunately. There were a couple of instances here and there where Anakin's Force Ghost actually communicates with Leia, and Leia actually rejects him, by the way. So it's a very interesting story that takes place in there. But everything that's happening right now, where it's going to be all centered on Luke in the Mandoverse to an extent, it seems like Mando 3 is really going to dial down on Luke Skywalker because, to be honest, we haven't really heard all that much about Luke's involvement in Mando Season 3. There's been a couple of storyboards that were finalized a couple of months ago for Mando Season 3 for another scene on Ossus with a more perfected version of his Jedi Temple. And so it could very well be that that's going to be the one big scene in Mando 3. However, Mando 4 is where Luke is really going to shine in 2024. It's possible that they're taking a break from Luke at least for Mando 3 and then waiting until Star Wars Ahsoka, because we already know that for Ahsoka, Mark Hamill, believe it or not, actually had his signature on the set of one of the actual chart boards of all the cast and the crew and such. So it's very, very much possible. We haven't really heard all that much about that. However, a lot about Mando Season 4. So overall, guys, drop a comment below. Let me know what you guys have to say about all this below in the comments. And if you guys did enjoy the content for today, make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel. I thank you all so very much for the kind support, and I'll catch you guys next time.
From night to moon, we hear them moans again.